what I think is good to talk about now, because it's like people are like, okay, cool, got it, great. I need to set some rules and I need to set the right cadence. But what is the right cadence, and how should I think about doing that? And more specifically, how can I get more organized? Now, this comes down to basically treating your portfolio like a business, right? Now, in any business, actually, it's probably it's a long bow to draw. I would say most intelligent businesses would do a quarterly planning session. They would do a quarterly review. How did we perform over the last quarter? And then a quarterly forward planning. What are our goals, KPIs, and objectives for the next quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
that can be called a review preview.
Yeah, a review preview, right? Yep. And I believe that all property investors should do a quarterly review preview of their portfolio. Now, the reason for that is it's going to give you a regular check-in point to assess where you're currently at. Now, within the context of saying, well, you should go as fast as you can within the investment rules of your portfolio, and of course within the financial, considerations of your family and life and all of that kind of stuff, then some of the ways you can do that, because a lot of people are like, well, is one a year the right cadence? Should it be one every month? Should it be one every 6 months or whatever? The point is that you should consistently review the health of your portfolio, because you might say, oh, well, I don't know, maybe it's like once every year, whereas in actuality, maybe your properties are growing and performing really well, and maybe you could go every 3 months, for example. So I tend to think that quarterly is a really good check-in point. And so what you can do every quarter is you can speak to your broker and just ask, hey, can you order some valuations for the properties that I've got? I want to see if I've got any equity and if I can go again. Now, that's a good step. And the way to build consistency with that is to set a reminder in your calendar, for example, every 3 months, contact the broker, right? Mm-hmm. And so you'll then have an alert. So you don't even need to think about it. It could be on the 1st of July, 1st of September, or whatever, to go, hey, cool, it's time to reach out to the broker. Hey, broker, it's me again. Just want to check in. Have I got any equity in these properties? Want to know if I can go again, right? Now, if you do that, maybe you don't at that point, but maybe you're really close and you might say, okay, cool, I'll check in again in a month, right? Or 2 months. Otherwise, it might just be like, okay, great, back to you again next quarter, move on. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a few tactical things that I want to throw in here as well to help manage this a little bit better, because some people also don't really understand, like I think my properties are positive cash flow. It seems like there's money in the bank. It's a little bit confusing and a little bit messy. Mm-hmm. So there are simple ways that you can help to manage this a little better. Like, so for example, you can get accounting and cash flow management systems like Xero, and there are a whole bunch of other ones, probably simpler than Xero. Xero is an accounting platform that you can get, and you could put your properties into Xero like business units basically. Mm-hmm. And then you can set up things like Receipt Bank, and then you can spend, say, 1 hour a week or 2 hours a month or whatever needs to be done for your portfolio to go, okay, what are my cash inflows and what are my cash outflows? And that way you're going to be able to catch things in your portfolio like, oh, wait, hang on a second. I thought insurance was going to cost X, but it's actually costing X, or I had allowed this much for maintenance, but in actuality it's costing me more or less. And you'll be able to catch all that stuff early, so you have a better head check on what's going on with your portfolio. Now, the reason that you want to do all of this is so that you're consistently in tune with the health of your portfolio, and then you're creating the right structure and system. So you might have, you could set up, the financial tracking systems using something like Receipt Bank or something like Xero. And again, there are plenty of other, tools out there that you could use to achieve a similar effect. And then you could just say, well, once a month, I'm going to review my cash inflows and my cash outflows, and I'm going to check in with my property manager or property managers once a month. Just, you can dedicate 4 hours, one afternoon on a Friday. Last Friday of every month could be, for example, where you ring around, you go, hey guys, just want to check in. How's everything going? How's everything with the tenants? Is there anything I need to know? Is there any outstanding items that you haven't sent through? What's the rental market looking like? When do you think we could put the rent up, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. All of that kind of stuff. And then check your cash inflows and cash outflows to know, okay, is this profitable or not? Am I producing more money than I'm using? If you do that, as well as having a consistent, regular timing of like, okay, every 3 months I check in with the broker and go, hey, can I borrow again? What's going on? Like, can you do an assessment on my borrowing capacity? Has it gone up or gone down? Can I refinance any of the properties? Is there a better loan product for me? Is there some way that I can optimize my portfolio? Just doing that is going to give you a much better process driven approach to your portfolio, which will likely end up with you buying, 2, 3, 4 properties every year for a long period of time, because you'll be approaching it with a different mindset and a different level of professionality.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the funny thing with this is that it's it's nowhere near as sexy as the time when you're going to buy a new property. This is the maintenance work. Like, this is the habits that actually help people to succeed in whatever they want to do. Like, it's the maintenance, the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly habits that people take and stick to that actually help them to succeed in whatever they're trying to do. So it's not necessarily all the excitement those few months when you're buying a property that is moving you forward. Obviously, you're doing the action that will move you forward, but it's all the supporting activities that you do and stick to that will make sure that you are taking this seriously and taking it professionally. And so from on the quarterly review as well, you can, if you have a good property manager, getting a quarterly, as you said, you can reach out to your broker to get an update on your borrowing capacity and a valuation on your property, is to see on the asset and income side of things, where are you sitting there. But on the expenses side of things, you can work with your property manager as well to see if on a quarterly basis they can send you an export of all of the expenses that have come through that property as well. And so if you're using an accounting software like Xero or something, you can then match them and reconcile them and make sure that you know where all the money has gone. And from a daily, just general hygiene, businesses have separate bank accounts for the business, separate from the directors of the business. So the company itself owns a bank account or several where the money comes in and goes out, so that every transaction that's in that bank account is related to that business and not related to the directors. And so this is a really critical thing that I always advise people, is set up at least one separate bank account for your property investment.
Preferably one bank account per property.
Yeah, preferably one bank account per property. So it just needs to be an everyday transaction account where all of your cash, all of your rental income goes into that account, and then all of your repayments and any of your invoices that come in that you need to pay go out of that account. So you can really clearly see, is your cash balance going up or down? And if you're positive cash flow, it should consistently be going up. And you're always going to consistently have a real delineation between your accounts of what is actually related to each property, so that if you're doing it, because even if you do it on a quarterly basis, if you've got all of your transactions just going through your normal life account, you're going to have to go through every single transaction that you've ever made using your personal card in that 3 months, and that could be quite a few, when maybe they're not really relevant to your portfolio. Whereas if you split it out into different bank accounts, you might have 10 transactions for the quarter, and you can easily get through that and have conversations with people about it. So that's just on a really general hygiene, have separate bank accounts if you can. And they're really easy to set up. You just contact your bank. You can do most of them online now. You just request open a new account. So it's definitely worth it.